name is Nestor Suarez. I'm the publisher at MiamiSprings.com, and I'm pleased to be joined by local Miami business owner, realtor, wife, mom, and councilwoman Jacky Bravo. And so thank you, Jacky, for joining us here at the beautiful Miami's Community Newspaper Studios.
Thank you for having me.
And I appreciate you taking time for us this morning. And it's election season, and you're coming up for election. So to start off, the benefit of those who may not be familiar with him, tell us a little bit about your background and your journey to our beautiful Miami Springs, Florida.
Okay, so my journey to Miami Springs, Florida has been through my grandfather. He still currently resides in Miami Springs. He came to Miami Springs back in the late 1950s, built 2 homes there. He's 94 years old now, and I have him in my prayers just now because he's going through some things right now. But gratefully, I was able to live in Miami Springs all my life since the age of 2. Growing up there, all I remember is basically playing outside, lots of trees to climb on. Even on South Road, Poinciana, we had a lot of Poincianas there, not so much now after Hurricane Andrew.
Right.
So just growing up there was just, it felt like a small community. I didn't feel like anything else existed. Maybe obviously I was a child.
Right.
And then as I grew and I got married, fast forward, right? Because we're limited on time. I always knew that I wanted to come back and live in Miami Springs. I mean, I was always there, but I know it was a goal of mine.
Right.
And I achieved, which I'm very excited to have done, and be next to my grandfather, because my goal was one day he's going to be old, and I want to be close by.
Yeah.
And now I live there, so I'm happy. And my husband was on board. At first he wasn't. I'm like, well, that's kind of like a marriage condition, so we're going to have to.
So you pulled him.
I pulled him in, and he loves it.
Miami Springs,
he loves it. And then I have my children there. It's just everything that I imagined that I was going to do is actually transpiring in my life. So it was pretty nice to see that happen. So going into my career, I'm a business major. Then I had a little derailment. I went into getting my teaching certificate because I did know that I wanted to have children and I wanted to have the flexibility, but I also knew that corporate world was very rigid. Yeah. And at that time, I wasn't thinking about my own business. I was just thinking about, being conservative, just having, the normal 9-to-5 job, just, the standard thing that you're kind of generated to think, sort of say, which is kind of weird because my grandpa's an entrepreneur, a private lender for I don't know how many years, but I don't know, I guess maybe as a woman, I was gearing into that,
like motherhood role.
Right. Okay. So then, nothing, I finished there, and I ended up teaching for quite some time. Then I went out, I was teaching and also doing real estate. I did get my real estate license at a very young age, and I did both teaching and real estate. Then I was granted an opportunity to go work as an on-site agent at the Continuum of South Point, which is an amazing experience. But there, I really had to take the decision whether I was going. I had a decision that I had to either leave my teaching career, and go full time, because I did not have the option. So I spoke to my husband, and he's always been very, very supportive of me. I mean, I'm telling anybody out there that gets married, you need to have it. It's a support system. Yeah. And I think you help each other attain your goals. As odd as it may seem, but it really helped. So he's like, just run for it. You know what you're doing. You know your stuff. It's in your blood. Like, you can't deny it. So I went for it. I left my teaching career. Right. And I hit it out of the ballpark, made many, many beautiful deals on the beach. And then it came to a point where I just wanted to open up my own brokerage. And I did that. Right. I did that in 2015. I have about 5 agents. It's a small boutique firm. Right. That's something that I really wanted to grow. I wanted to be really, small and be able to cater to my clients as needed, with other restrictions of like franchise brands. So I did that, and
so that means
do real estate and I do private lending. No, actually, almost 14 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So 14 years of real estate, but I guess 8 years since you opened up your own firm? Okay.
Yes.
And then, so you went from teaching to go into real estate to now, hey, I'm going to do this on my own and run my own business. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you're at that point as well where you've passed that. I think most businesses die within the first 3 years. So you've already surpassed that, and you have agents working for you. So some tremendous success there on the real estate side.
Right. And I also got in the private lending sector. So I'm just doing it all. right now.
Oh, wow.
And it's really exciting to me. Everything is just so different, diversified, and I think that the city kind of plays a role in that sense, but we'll get to that later. I think you had another question for me.
Well, in terms of your background, so you got into your real estate, and then, so you said you've been married. How many kids do you have?
I have 2 girls, 14 and 11.
Oh, wow.
And my husband, Frankie.
Right.
You know him.
Yes,
very well.
right. You guys have been married how many years?
Oof, I think it's going to be 16 years.
16 years. Congratulations.
Actually, 16 years already.
Yeah.
Oh. Thank you.
So, you have that, and obviously you express your love of the community and the city of Miami Springs. So what do you love most about Miami Springs?
What I love most about Miami Springs is it's just quiet. I feel like I'm my own person. I don't know how to explain it. I feel living in my community, like I feel like I belong there. Right. You know, like you have different personalities for different things. I just feel like I fit in my community, and I just think it's also very diversified in the sense where nothing is the way that it's supposed to be. It just everybody mingles, everybody talks, everybody's out to reach your hand. I guess I experienced that firsthand observing my community, and maybe that's what prompted me into getting more involved.
Got it.
Because I saw everybody around me very passionate. They want to do this, they want to do that. I would pass by the women's club many times, but at first I was a little bit interrogated because I was like, well, I may be the youngest one, or maybe they're like, oh, she's gonna get into it for these wrong intentions. Right. Like all these things started running through my head, which was so ridiculous. And then I had one person approach me, beautiful woman, older lady, and we had so many things in common, and she welcomed me into the women's club, and from there on I've been involved. Right. Not as physically as I used to be, because now I'm starting being on the council. So they have their Monday meetings the same day that we have our council meetings. So I'm like hardly ever there. Right. But I pitch in where I can, and I'm always asking if they need something, or I see all the emails going out. So I really try to keep in connection with them, because they really opened up that wing to wanting to serve more. Right. And I saw, I saw where I could do more, and all these women have just done so much for our community. And I said, why not? Why can't I do it? I had the fire, I had the drive, I have the energy. I just didn't know how to use it. Right. And as I hung out with this group of women, and I just started, as a woman growing up into my community, you feel like you need to take ownership somehow. And then you start realizing as you're older and you have your own home and you have your own expenses, how you really want to maybe see things change. And I think it just starts with you. I think you need to, if you feel very heavily and passionate about seeing some change, I mean, you can always go to your favorite council person or to an advocate that you think that might make a change. But why not you? Why not yourself? What's limiting you? So I found myself in a position where I can put my foot forward, and I took advantage. Excellent. So you decided to run for councilwoman, and you won your first election, very first time you ever got involved in politics, right? First time ever. All right. And it was exciting. So you win, you jump on council. So tell us what's like the differences between when you were running for council the first time and then now being on council, having that experience on you. What's the difference, I guess, that you go through from before you had served and now that you have served? Yeah, I'll tell you, Nestor, the first time that I ran, it was scary because I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know if, we see all these races that have gone sour or families are put out there. My main concern was my reputation, and everybody has to agree with that, because when you start putting yourself out there for public office, you could get distorted. Sure. My family, but my main concern really was, am I going to get the trust and the faith of my constituents to trust and believe in me? Because at that time I'm going to say it because I'm very honest and we were at a very divisive time. Right. And I challenged myself to look abroad and look past those things, because my main concern and my main concern goal right now is my residents, the people that I represent. And I just focused on me. I eliminated all of the noise. And just like anything else, you want a business, you got to prepare yourself to open up a business. Sure. I prepared myself to sit in my chair. And I just had tunnel vision. and I went for it. And I think if you know the type of person you are and the quality that you want to bring and the composure. I mean, I went through a lot of hard moments as I was trailing the streets, but I was able to test myself and my limitations on how I'm going to react when I'm in really awkward situations, and I handled it well. Right. And so I just gained the confidence. But the biggest thing there was letting people give me a chance, newbie.
Right.
And I had nothing to show for it other than a platform and hopefully sitting in my chair to prove that I can meet that and much more. So now coming into my second term, I worked my butt off. I hope that my residents and my constituents see that I worked my butt off, because that was the only way for me to prove. I was given it one chance to prove whatever it is I was going to do on my platform. And there was actually a lot more in between, because things arise, right? Things arise when you start serving and items come up. So I was able to surpass that. And I think that now it's not that it's easier, because I do have an opponent. Not that it's easier, but I feel more confident where at least my residents see that I'm not dead weight on a chair.
No, you've got a track record now, and
I'm going to move. So I'm holding that with faith. And at the end of the day, I'm going to continue to do what I do, talk to my people. Because it's funny, because the other day I was walking and I do it all myself, Nestor. I like it because nobody's going to market you the way that you market yourself, right? So you can get the help, but it's not the same. So I was putting out door hangers, and somebody comes out. Oh, hi. I'm like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I don't want to bother them on Sunday. And they're like, you actually walk? I go, what do you mean if I actually walk? He's like, yeah, no, because you're an incumbent. Incumbents don't walk. I'm like, actually, yes, they do have to walk. And especially if you have an opponent, you have to walk. So it was kind of refreshing to see that maybe I'm doing something different, and I continue to do something different. But, you got to work for your people, and it doesn't matter if you're an incumbent or you got to put yourself out there. You have to treat it like the first time, because every time you run for office, it's going to be a first time.
Sure.
For me, that's the way it feels. I feel like it's the first time trying to get in again, because that's what it is.
Challenge.
Yeah.
So, with that 2 years now under your belt, what do you feel proudest about in terms of accomplishments in your first term in office?
What I feel promised about?
No, you're proudest.
Oh, proudest. Well, coming into office, my first big hunch was there was a smart connecting bridge that was going to be built to connect the Metro Rail on the Okeechobee side of Hialeah, the north side of Hialeah, coming into our west side, Miami Springs, over the Okeechobee Canal. I live very close to that area, and I did not know anything about that. And I actually learned about it at a workshop, and it blew my mind. So I think my first accomplishment there was canceling that bridge right on site. At the August 9th meeting, I requested a resolution to rescind that bridge. It was not needed for our community, and I was just grateful that I was able to get consensus from my board, and we canceled it.
Yeah,
that was one big
the residents
one for
weren't too crazy about that at the time. I remember there was a lot of there was some benefits, but there was a lot of negatives that came with it, and concerns from residents. As you talk to residents as you're walking through and knowing what the agenda has been, what do you see as some of the biggest issues facing Miami Springs in this next term?
I think one of the basic and continuous issues have been obviously Northwest 36th Street.
Right.
It needs to, my goal on if I serve again, and even if I don't serve again, but I'm not going to say that because I will serve again, we need to approach that charter, revise it so that we can open it up to clean it up. We need to make it more appealing to investors or anybody that's willing to come and invest on that corridor to pick it up, because it deserves it. I mean, that's kind of like the first southeast side that you see of Miami Springs, and it does belong to us. Right now I pass by it and I don't feel like it belongs to us because it doesn't represent us. Yeah. So one of the things I'm looking forward to working on with the new council is looking at the charter, changing it up so we can have more flexibility. I would like to see more residential and retail. We already have commercial. But the issue here is we're not benefiting from the bed tax that we're supposed to be getting.
Right.
And to win things over with the county, it's a slim to name sometimes. So you have to get creative and say, well, if I'm not going to be able to attain this and get this done, what do I have in my power to change things to offset any deficits I may have? And in this case, I feel that creating more residential tax revenue and retail revenue can offset a lot of that bed tax burden that we're not getting. And at the same time, our police are servicing those areas.
Yeah.
It's run down. It's not pretty. And so I'm all about really getting creative, and whatever it is that we actually have in our power to make something better in our community, we need to use it.
All right. As far as the next council also will have to select a new city manager. As the city manager, Alonso, is retiring. What do you want to see from that next city manager?
Well, what I would like to see for the next city manager, well, first and foremost, I do want to say thank you to Alonso for serving our community for so long. It's not an easy job.
No.
He was doing a dual role. But now that we have the opportunity to hire somebody and vet somebody for our city, which is a very, very big deal, it's a very big position, which ultimately, they're running our city and representing our city. Somebody that is sharp is meeting with our head of states. That's first representation for us. So definitely, entrepreneurial skills, a little bit of that, because it does take a little bit of that. Self-motivated, very communicating with all of the department heads, make sure everybody's, running smoothly, self-starting, just very directive approach. There's just so many things I can say right now. It's just such a heavy loaded position. And I'm just looking to see if we can get somebody that can run the city strong and hard. We are in the center of Miami-Dade County. We're like in a shark tank. And right now our little city has been trying to get dinged here and there. Yeah. And first and foremost, he's, the city manager is front runner to our city. And I just looking for someone with strong character and just knows how to run with it. Really. And we're going to be hiring a finance director, which is great. Yeah. So now whoever comes in as city manager can really just put all the apples in the basket.
Yeah, just focus on
very hard to juggle. And again, Alonso's done a great job with what he could.
Right.
And I'm wishing him the best on his retirement.
Excellent. Aside from 36th Street, what are some of the improvements that you'd like to see completed in Miami Springs?
On 36th Street?
Or aside from 36th Street, any other major improvements that you'd like to see completed in Miami Springs?
Well, I would like to see, it's not so much about the building aspect, but I did put on the platform, and I hope you're happy to hear this, I would like to incorporate 2 monuments in the city of Miami Springs. Coral Gables and other older cities do have, where they have some sort of representation of their founder. Our founder is Glenn Curtis, and I would like to see a statue of him coming in from Curtis Park, from 36th Street into Curtis Parkway to our golf course in that green area. Which, by the way, I was trying to see if it had a name. Is it like the Curtis Park? Like that green area doesn't even have.
So was the Curtis Parkway, right? But that green area is just Curtis Parkway.
So it should be called, I guess, Glenn Curtis Park. Well, I'll adjust it when it comes.
Right.
But a beautiful statue of him there. And another idea for the Curtis Mansion, which was his home, maybe his first plane that he built. And we're talking about a beautiful, good structured, brass type of monument. And I think our city is very deserving. And going into that, I feel that on my platform, what I'm trying to do is define more of who our city is when people come in.
Right.
Because you come in and you do see some sort of, Pueblo architecture and stuff like that, very seldomly. But I really want to define Miami Springs, because I find myself driving into other cities in Miami-Dade as a real estate broker, and I feel like they have some sort of continuity. They have a definition. Right. And I want that for my community. I want that for Miami Springs, because we have so much, but it's so hidden. So we need to bring it out. Yeah, and that's my goal.
I think the Gables is probably the poster child for having those kind of old Spanish elements throughout different corners and intersections and things like that. And it would be amazing. And I know there's a lot of budget concerns and things like that, but it would be amazing to be able to add kind of those elements to different entryways, intersections, corners, circles, etc. to Miami Springs.
I know we talk about budget, but budget scares a lot of people, and I feel like budget belongs to just city operations. When it comes to improvising and finding ways to do things like how we just talked about, we need to think outside of the box. Pretend you don't even have a budget.
Right.
What grants are there? Are there any foundations we can start creating? Or are there any little things that we can do? Because for me, budget is city operations.
Right.
If we have it, great. If we don't, then we look outside. But we need to make it happen. It can't always be because it's not in the budget.
Right.
We can't make it happen.
Well, it's a great point because, a lot of times people will say, come up with what the plan is. Mm-hmm. And then you find the money to fund the plan, whether it's not everything necessarily comes from taxpayers. There are donations, there are organizations, there are companies. We're talking about Glenn Curtis. You got the Curtis Wright Company. There are organizations there that can be sources of funding.
Right.
But you got to have a plan first before the funding will come.
Yeah, you have to have the motivation first. When you have the motivation and the goal, then you start finding the money.
Excellent.
It just comes.
So the other big question is of course, annexation. And so, it's 20 years. We came really close with the last county commission, and many believe it's never going to happen. So, do you think it's going to happen, and if so, why?
I think we are creatures of manifestation, and I also believe that there's a time and place for everything. And right now, I just came into council. This has been going on for over 20 years. Yeah. I don't know the dynamics of the previous histories. I don't know what hiccups or challenges they may have had. But right now I can tell you, based on what I'm seeing, it's one of those things where there has to be a meeting of the minds. If something's not working out for one, you're not going to get to the closing table. Same with real estate. If the deal's not as good for the buyer as it is for the seller, at the end of the day, it's a meeting of the minds. So until we could get there, I don't think it can be accomplished. If it was such an easy thing to do, I think it would have been done many moons ago. But I think we also have to consider the dynamics at stake and how we're really approaching this. Because there's the agreement and the annexation is very complex.
Right.
And we're only hearing one thing, it can benefit the residents and their taxes 100%. I, for one, I would like to pay 2.5% millage for the record. Yeah. But as a business owner, I understand where if something's going to hurt me very hard and I need to keep afloat, I'd probably be opposed from it. As of right now, I'm definitely for it, but I want it to be beneficial for both sides. That's the only way you're going to get to the meeting table, because at the end of the day, I understand that the businesses, they do not vote, but they can voice their concerns to their county commissioners. So the county commissioners will to do whatever it is that they need to do under oath. So that's where we stand right now. But never say never. I think the approach is a very big deal, and the agreement is another. So yeah. We'll see how that folds out.
Yeah, I think your point will take.
No.
Yeah, that the area being annexed needs to see the benefit to them, as opposed to just the benefit to the residents next door.
Right. And another thing, we're going through a lot of, like we talked about earlier, we're going through a lot of changes in office right now as a city at whole. So I wanna make sure that we're strong and we have a good strong foot ahead, and then go at it full throttle.
Right. And that includes the city manager, et cetera, in terms of changes that are happening there.
Finance director and all that.
We've just got a couple minutes here, so if we could give residents, if you want to sum up, why should residents vote for Jacky Bravo this April?
Well, it's kind of an easy question for me, and I'm going to tell you why, because I'm a resident too. And when people ask that question, I just think about what it is that I want in a candidate, and I make sure that I'm reflecting those qualities. I feel that I have not changed. I ran for office on a certain platform with what I knew what was going on, and now I know more.
Right.
I've hold my word. I've been tackling all the items at issue and then some, and I think I have proven to be very, I don't know how to say, just very focused on the issues. Okay. I make sure that, I'm a resident myself. I want to make sure that when I'm not sitting on this council, that I can live with what I reaped and sowed.
Right.
And that is really what I feel people or my residents should be looking at when they're going to choose a candidate. How they were before at their first, how they've changed, how they've gotten better or worse. In this case, I feel like I've gotten better. I've gotten a lot done. And the feedback that I'm getting from my community has been very, very positive. So at the end of the day, it's what I've done for you and if you are happy with my services.
So Jacky, as far as residents who are out there and they're doing the research and they're watching the videos and reading about before the elections, how can they reach out to you?
Well, I have my campaign account open, my website. It's Jacky Bravo for MiamiSprings.com. My contact number is there as well. They can also connect with me through my social media. It's Jacky Bravo _Councilwoman. If they want to support me with a sign, I'm delivering signs. Yes, I do the walking. I do it all. And I think the more that you sweat when you want something, I think the better you're going to serve, because it's something that you're appreciative of. It's what's the word to say this? I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to do what I'm doing now. And I never thought I'd get into the public sector. But I guess what leads me into this is just caring about the general welfare of people.
Well, there's a twinkle in your eye as you're saying that. What have you liked most, sitting in there on council? What did you like the most about it, being a council person?
I like the fact that we still have the traditional aspect of being able to debate amongst peers in a respectable manner. I think we've lost a lot of that in today's society, and I think as council women and men, we are somewhat of role models, in our small community and the way that we act and we portray ourselves, So first and foremost, I never forget our little people, because our little people are watching us too. Yeah. But what I like, the most thing that I like serving on council and being on council is when we have items that we have to make big decisions on, and we see them fulfill one way or another. Sure. But they come to life. I know for a fact, and I encourage anybody that would want to run and make a difference, when you're sitting on your chair and you're determined, you can make a difference. You have the power. Yeah. You really do. You're not going to believe it until you're sitting there. Now, one thing is holding on to your guns and going through the battle, right? That's a skill that I've had to really just concentrate and hold ground, because there are times that it gets turbulent and you might be the oddball. But I always think to myself, if I am in this position, it's because I need to be in this position. It's not because of anything else. It's not because I'm trying to get clicks or get attention or save my chair. No, I feel like it's my responsibility. And it's been really hard at times, but thankfully, like I said, we're all professional, and we all know it's work. And I was chosen by the people, not by my council. So I just focus and I serve with that mindset.
Excellent. We appreciate that. Well, Election Day is coming up fast. So the election day is what, April 4th?
April 4th is the actual election. Early elections is March 31st on my birthday, and April 1st I will be there. Right. I will not be in date. This is here because it's important that I am there. Yeah. And I think the last day to register for the mail-in ballot is March 6th or 9th.
I'm not 100% sure, but we'll post it online.
It's on my website. All the information is on my website. Jacky Bravo for MiamiSprings.com, and that is Jacky with a Y. Excellent.
And that was one of the questions. Is it Jacky with an I or what? And Jacky, so we want to, again, thank you for participating here. Folks, at the end of the day, it's democracy matters, and we are blessed. We have this incredible country where we have the freedom to choose people who represent us. In our case, the members of the city of Miami Springs. Go out and do your research, and then go out and vote. And again, election day is, I like voting on election day. I like going on April 4th, but you can go. Early voting is at the weekend beforehand is at City Hall, and on election day, on the Tuesday, it's at the Miami Springs Golf and Country Club. So, folks, get out there and vote. Jacky, thanks again for joining us here at Miami's Community Newspaper's beautiful studios, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.